People for Profit Solidarity.
Thanks, Ken Corlett. Minister, you said that you were informed on the 4th of August about the use of these unlicensed implants. When were you informed about the fact that there was allegations that there was the use of unlicensed implants at Temple Street?
Informed of what, Deputy?
Of allegations that this was happening. Or is the 4th of August literally the first you heard that there was allegations and it was confirmed? But did you hear about an allegation at any point previous?
Deputy, what I had was your PQs.
Okay.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the information I have is that the first time your PQs were specific to the point that these could be identified was the 27th of July. That's what I have. Now, if I'm wrong, please feel free to correct that, right?
13th of July is when they were submitted. You answered them on the 25th of July.
Okay, so they were submitted in July. So as I see this, I've looked very carefully at this. You asked a series of escalating questions. To begin with, they were quite vague. They're all on the record. It was around, does CHI use non-medical grade equipment? They replied, I believe in good faith, saying to the very best of their knowledge, of course they don't, right? It was only in the second week of July, I believe, and again, I'm more than happy to be wrong on this, but as I read it, your question became specific enough for CHI to look at exactly what you were pointing to. And when they found that, they responded on the 27th of July, and then I was informed the following week. My question is, if you had that specific detail earlier, and maybe you didn't, I don't know what you were given, but if you did have that specific information earlier, I could have acted on it, CHI, I could have acted on it. But it is important to say, and again, if you have information to the contrary, that's absolutely fine. I believe it was only in July when your question became that specific that they were able to identify what it is you were pointing to.
But let's even take that. So you say the 4th of August, but on the 25th of July you respond to detailed questions. You don't respond with detail, you kick it off to CHI, which is the process. I still don't have an answer from CHI to those questions. But therefore, you were aware of the allegations at what time? The 25th of July?
I'll have to check, Deputy. I'll have to check, but
okay.
Let me just answer the question directly again, right? To be absolutely clear, when I was informed of this issue, and my date might be slightly wrong, but I believe it was the 4th of August.
But I mean, I asked the Taoiseach about it on the 5th of July in the Dáil, and I spoke about the allegations that unlicensed implants have been used in children. The Taoiseach said he was going to talk to you about it. Did the Taoiseach talk to you about it?
I'll have to check, and I'll have to check if his officials passed on those comments. That would normally be what was done. But again, the details to CHI that allowed them to actually find what it is you were pointing to happened second week in July. It was discovered then in the following weeks when they looked into it, and I received a report on it on the 4th of August. And then I asked a series of detailed follow-on questions on the report that I got.
Okay, you said that you want to see the publication of the external, you always wanted to see the publication of the external review, but I asked you about that in mid-July, and at that stage I asked about publication, and at that stage you didn't say that. You said it would be communicated to people appropriately. Why didn't you say at that stage that we're going to publish the report?
Thanks, Deputy. I'll have to take a look at the PQ answer, but the Chief Clinical Officer got a copy of the report in July. A copy of the report will have been sent to me in August. There was a disclosure process gone through with the families, and then there was a proposed publication date after full disclosure had been gone through with the families. The report in the ditch was ahead of full disclosure having happened with the families, which led to the report, the publication being accelerated. But, sorry, I beg your pardon, I don't mean to cut across here. Specific to the publication of the report, it was not the view of CHI that the internal or the external reports were going to be published. Their view was they were going to publish this condensed version. That was never acceptable to me. It was never acceptable to the HSE, and both the Chief Executive and I intervened directly to state that both reports needed to be published in full.
But then the question is, why did it take so long? But Specific question put to you. I got an answer from CHI in May, so the question must have been put in April. To ask the Minister for Health if he's aware of any external or internal pressure being placed on clinical staff at Temple Street to restart spina bifida-related surgeries in advance of the conclusion of the external review. So to restart cathectomies, despite the fact that they knew about these complications, they knew that one person had tragically died. CHI says they're not aware of any internal or external pressure. Did you just accepted that, like you just accepted all of CHI's answers, which I had to accept. I didn't know anything better. CHI is telling me, no, everything is normal to the best of our knowledge, everything, we're not using unlicensed implants. Do you accept now that there was pressure put by management on surgeons to restart?
Thanks, Deputy. Just on the PQs, I know this is never satisfactory, and I got the same answer when I was on that side of the House, and I never found it particularly satisfactory, but I receive about 15 to 20,000 PQs a year. And so colleagues will appreciate that none of us can write all our own responses to every PQ. However, I am responsible for them. It is my name at the bottom of the page. To the question you ask, I am not aware, nor am I aware of any suggestion that has ever been made to me about pressure. Presumably we're talking about inappropriate pressure being put on clinicians to do procedures which they did not believe were clinically appropriate to do, if that's the thrust. No, I'm not aware of any such pressure.
Okay, I'm telling you that was the case in March. I want to go back to timeline, because I think you accepted there that the reason that things were published and things processed was because of the article in the Ditch. But I want to go all the way back to last year. Do you know that the first FOIs from the journalist, Padraig O'Meskell, were submitted in October? Then the surgeries were suspended, cathectomy in November, and then the internal review started. Do you accept that the reason that this whole thing kick-started was not because of some internal process, was because of external FOIs from a journalist?
Thanks, Deputy. I'm very open to an external review telling me whatever it finds. What I can tell you right now is that this is the first time that I've heard this. This is the first time I've heard about an FOI. The clear advice I've been given is that there were serious patient safety incidences. The protocols were followed. The patients and the families were engaged with. I was informed, to Deputy Cullinan's point earlier, arguably informed in too tardy a manner on the July one. So in the September, October, November period, two things happened. There were patient safety incidences which were being looked at, and the spina bifida multidisciplinary team in Temple Street raised concerns. And on the back of that, two reports were commissioned, an internal CHI report and an external Boston Children's Hospital Group report.
Thank you, Minister.
I'm very open to any external reviewer telling me that FOIs played a role, but your question is the first that I've been aware that there were any such FOIs.
No, time is up. No, time is up.